Okay, let's take a look at chapter 3. So chapter 3 started in with the idea of the plain negative, and that was the thing when we looked at the school and rules. So chapter 3 was the plain negative, which is the plain form of masen. And I think if I leave you with anything in this course, it's that understanding that for every mas, masen, mashta, masen, deshta, there's a corresponding plain form that fits in. So essentially the plain negative, it was the first thing that we learned how to make. And as we said yesterday, you apply the plain negative rule to all the verbs that fit a certain group. There may be the occasional little exception, but generally it applies to everything. So, group 1 verbs, that E sound that you had goes to the A sound plus nai. The only exceptions for group 1 are the following. If you had an actual E sound, it was too hard to put that to A and then plus nai because it sounded too weird. Ka-a-nai. So we change that to the wa, and then we add nai. There's a lovely multiple choice question. Give the plain negative of this, because we're wanting to see if you remember that that's the rule. And remember, the other one is arimas. This is, again, a lovely multiple choice question. Give the plain negative of arimas. Gomen, it should be arimasen, and it's nai. And we like to test that. Group 2 is quite lovely. Remember, we talk about group 2, you just drop something and add something. In this case, you drop the masen and you just add nai. And group 3, shimas to shinai, very straightforward, follows what you think it would. Kimas is the only one, konai. Remember, it's the same kanji again, but now its pronunciation switches to ko, and that's why it's always in group 3. It's very unpredictable. Kanji stays the same pronunciation, and what comes after the kanji are totally not predictable for what you want to do. And once we knew the must, we could go, once we knew the plain negative, we could go look at several verb ones, conjugations, and one of them was must. And must was an idea that you made the plain negative first. And then you made the plain negative, and the thing you have to remember is to drop that E on the end. Step 1 in a must is always the plain negative, and I find students tend to kind of forget that. It kind of goes like this. Tabe narimasen. And in between it gets a little hazy. So step 1, make the plain negative. Step 2, drop the E on the end. Now you're ready to add the must endings. And there are 3 of them in writing. Even though I, in a terrible error, taught you now how to say tabe nakcha. For writing, unless you're writing dialogue, you would never use it. So it's tabe nakte wa dame, ikemasen, or kereba narimasen. And that's step 3. So making must is a 3-step process. If you remember the 3 steps, you can't go wrong. So remembering step 2, for example, is always a good multiple choice question because people forget to drop that E, and you get tabe nai kute or tabe kute because they forget to make the plain negative for some reason. We also said of must, we also took a look on the plain negative at please don't do something, and that was the plain negative plus de plus kudasai, and there's the thing that tends to get forgotten. So you make your plain negative, you don't touch it. So it's a tabe nai, de, kudasai. If we did must, the thing students often start thinking about is must not. And in English we say you must not do that. In Nihongo that's you may not or you cannot. This is the cannot or the must not. And it's that te verb in the te form plus the wa plus dame des. And there's a lovely multiple choice question. If you're using someone not allowed to do something, is it te mo dame des or te wa dame des? And to remember that it's the wa. It's the mo that goes with the it's okay to. And for those of you looking for a level up, this construction is the idea of even if. So tabete mo means even if I do that, then we put the E on it. So we're not really asking, may I do that? We're saying, even if I do that, is that okay? And in English, we translate it as, you may, yes. The other thing that we saw in chapter 3 was the idea of the verb in the te form plus imas as something that is currently true. And the classic one we did is, I belong to a club. And it's something something club ni haite imasu. Also, we saw to go to a particular school, something ni kayote imasu. So not only is the verb in the te mas currently true, the other thing that we saw the verb in the te form plus imasu for was habit. And if I was doing a multiple choice and I started my sentence with mainichi, and I had a choice of what to put at the end, I should see the verb plus the te form plus imasu, because that's something you do every day. And that's a level up multiple choice. Mainichi basketo o blank. And I give you shimasu, shite imasu, and then other things in there. And your best pick is shite imasu, because that's the proper way to express a habit. Yeah? Also in chapter 3, we looked at before and after. And I really need you to remember that this is before using a noun only, and after using a noun only. Many of you are trying now to say, before I eat my cornflakes, I take a shower, or after I eat my cornflakes, I get dressed. But you don't know how to do it properly, and you make mistakes, so don't do it. I have to leave something for grade 12. You know, we'll have that one then. Okay? All right. I'm going to go on to chapter 5 now, which should stick in your recent memory, but we'll go over it. Chapter 5 had a look at whys, and then it had to look at wants and needs, and this was the chapter in which we talked about resumes and jobs. And the idea with a because is still something that a number of people are mixing up. So the reason why you do something always comes first in a Japanese sentence. So, because it's hot, I'm going swimming. And to remember that the reason can be in what we've come to regard as 4M. So you need to remember that in English you say, because it is hot, I'm going swimming. Because it was hot, I went swimming. Because it wasn't hot, I didn't go swimming. Because it's not hot, I'm not going to go swimming. So what comes before the kara, the reason has to match up with what you're trying to express. So, so that's that because plus the kara, and then your outcome coming after. And in a level up, and this will become in Japanese 12 for those of you that go on, we saw that kara used plain forms before it. That's a nice little level up to keep in the back of your mind. It won't be tested because it's not something that we're doing in 11, but that's a level up. That leads you to things like hen dakara or iku kara, or that sentence starter dakara. That comes from desu kara, therefore. We also took a look at wanting and needing. And you wanted an object or you want to do something, and we made a big show about I want a boyfriend. And did you want a boyfriend? So you go to the boyfriend store and get one off the shelf and put it over your shoulder and walk away. And that's hoshi. Hoshi is I want an item. It doesn't entail that you're going to do anything with that item. So you can say shukudai ga hoshi desu, I want homework, but you could never do it. You would just have it in your hands. That's hoshi. Then we want to do something. And that's the verb taking off the mas and adding tai, see that e there, plus des. So I want to do homework. So you have to keep in mind when you're saying I want homework, really in your mind you're saying I want to do homework, and that's what you have to express. Remember that hoshi and tai both end with an E sound, so that when we make it negative or past or negative past, we do treat it just like an E adjective. So hoshi desu, hoshikunai desu, hoshikatta desu, hoshikunakatta desu. And the same thing goes for tai. The des stays there. This is something we like to put on multiple choice ones. I don't want to do homework, and we give you shimasu, shimasen, shitaimasen, shitai kunai desu, or shita kunai desu, and we ask you to pick. Okay? The other thing we talked about is I need. And I need an item is irimasu. And it only works for things. Now in English we also say I need to do something, but that's must, which we already know. So if you need to do your homework, then that's shukudai o shinakereba narimasen or shinakute wa dame desu. That's what it is. So it's just a case of semantics. It's a case of the words you choose in English. So I need homework, and I must do my homework, or I need to do my homework are two different things. So hoshi and irimasu work for items. Something tai desu and nakute wa dame desu work for actions that you are doing. Those are really the items that we took a look at in Chapter 5 and Chapter 4. Any questions? Okay.